We can start doing like an intro. We're sitting here. We're eating hamburger helper and drinking Powerade. This is middle class, and it's not bad. It's not bad.
No, it's not bad at all. Yeah. Well done, Chandler. Well done.
Thank you. We made it. We're halfway there.
I'm sorry for the pause. I almost choked. Otherwise, I would have said something sooner. I have a tendency not to chew. But I'm happy to be here. This is delicious hamburger helper. This unnaturally blue drink tastes just like the real thing.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
So
just like the blue drink in the wild.
Just like the blue drink in the wild. Like I stabbed the tree and it came right out.
Well, welcome to Political Bedlam. Did not have Cass last week. It was a little too late. Welcome back, Cass.
Well, it's good to be back. And I'm an old man. I have to go to bed by 8:30, or I just can't handle it. I've had my Metamucil by then, and I need to be in bed.
I get that. You'll be hearing a little bit of background noise this time. My babysitter is in vacation in Florida, so thankfully my soon-to-be wife, Meredith, came over and is watching her while we record, and she's throwing a fit in her high chair, but she's in the other room, so hopefully it'll be at least background noise.
Well, we're always happy to have the podcast baby.
Oh, yeah, podcast baby. Exactly.
Yeah, this is the domestic episode.
So absolutely. We'll be chewing and slurping throughout. I don't know. It feels like just take a page from our lives, you know?
You know? And what is podcasting if not our lives?
Exactly.
That's some good hamburger helper. I haven't had hamburger helper in so long.
It's so good.
It's so good.
Yeah, I got turned on to it when I was actually living with Reese, and I was like, Mom was like, you need to cook more. And I was like, well, I don't want to cook. And she's like, well, get hamburger helper. I was like, thanks, Mom.
There you go. Have you tried the tuna helper?
No, I've not, but okay. I have tried the Velveeta skillets. They're like better hamburger helper.
The Velveeta skillets are very good, but I'm a big proponent of the tuna helper.
Tuna helper, okay.
Yeah.
What's your favorite tuna?
Fettuccine Alfredo, hands down.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. That is the sauce, let me tell you.
Is it made by the same people as hamburger helper?
So you get the same little glove, but this glove is a seafaring glove instead of a herding glove. And there's chicken helper, which
the seafaring glove, I'm sure, has seen more things out in his life.
He's had a darker past.
Yeah, I'm sure.
He left the Navy because he couldn't handle it anymore, and now he just off the coast of Maine catching lobster and tuna. I don't know if you catch tuna in Maine, but he does. He does.
You probably could. I imagine. I mean, if you try hard enough, you can catch anything anywhere.
That's true.
I mean, if you got like an inside guy, I mean, you could just have a guy buy a tuna, then release it into the water, and then you could catch it.
Well, that's how I fish.
Right, same thing.
Yeah, unquestionably.
Well, that kind of will conclude, I guess, the more pleasant part of our podcast.
Let's get raw.
Well, we're going to get raw. We'll probably bring you another great, totally authentic, real advertisement later on. There's probably about a 95% chance it'll be for RC Cola. Since we do have Cass in studio.
Let's make it 98.
Oh, last week we did one about Hulu. If you listen, you'll hear it.
Hulu's great.
Well, Chandler decided to rip into Hulu.
Oh, okay.
Basically, the pitch was, do you like Netflix but wish it had commercials?
There's the bedlam right there, folks. That's why me and Chandler don't podcast together.
Forget liberal, forget conservative. It's all about Netflix v. Hulu. Well, I'm gonna pause and I'm gonna take a break from Hamburger Helper. But Cass, go ahead. Let's hear your thoughts on this week.
Well, it's been an interesting week. What hasn't happened? Let's start with today. Apple became the first $1 trillion private company in the world, and I, of course, am agog. The Cohen trial has started, and it is going strong. What else has happened this week? Manafort. Oh my God, did I say Cohen? Yeah, Manafort.
That's probably coming soon. Freudian slip.
And let's see, what else has happened? Oh, Oklahoma came up with new rules for medical marijuana.
Didn't hear about this. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's everything we wanted.
Okay.
And they've been given to the governor, and she's got 45 days to sign it, but she has to do it sooner than that because the health department will start issuing licenses sometime in the next couple of days, I believe. I want to say August 15th.
Okay.
So a lot's happening, local and international. I'm trying to think if anything else has happened. Confession time. I have started watching Steven Universe.
Oh, that's so funny.
I'm not happy about it. I feel like a human Tumblr person, But
your conversion's finally complete.
It's so charming, everyone. So get past any reservations you have and get into it. We and my boyfriend have been watching it, and it's there's no shame to be had because it's a beautiful thing. And these walking crystal people are raising this little boy, and his dad lives in a van at the beach. Steven's dad, yeah. Steven Universe is his name.
Oh, is it really his name?
His name is Steven Universe.
Just Steven's Universe.
It's a very weird show.
It's funny you say that because the person who's in charge of our 6-week training class at my new job, we were talking about Doctor Who because she watched Doctor Who and I've been trying to catch up on it. And she came up to me yesterday. She's like, "Have you seen Steven Universe?" And I said, "I have not." I just started it. So I've had 2 people in the last 24 hours tell me they started the show.
Once you get over the initial feelings of being, like I said, a human Tumblr, it feels great. And if you like Doctor Who, it might be up your alley. Maybe watch it with your daughter.
A lot of people, I used to partake until I was banned, of course, on several Rick and Morty meme pages, and there was a lot of crossover between that and Steven Universe.
That's crazy because they're both the exact opposite in
it's
tone.
So weird, yeah.
Yeah, well, Rick and Morty is all about nihilism. I mean, openly.
The real hardcore Rick and Morty fans would relentlessly mock the Steven U fans.
Which makes sense, yeah.
Civil War.
Like that guy who jumped up at the McDonald's because they didn't have his special sauce.
Had to be a Steven U fan.
Couldn't. There's no way he could be a Steven U fan.
They're too happy?
They're too happy.
Okay.
Everything is okay in the Steven Universe world, and it's kind of a great escape.
Okay.
But we're all still in this prison we call life, so it's not the best escape. But that's the Rick and Morty fan in me talking. This is a new cast. This is a happy cast. This is a less cynical cast. This is a Cass who, fights with the crystal gems against the forces of evil and saves the world. So
I look forward to seeing what happens when the two inevitably blend. And so
you get a normal, healthy
optimistically cynical nightmare person.
Fair. Absolutely accurate.
Nothing means anything, and I'm excited about it. It's going to be Cass here in about 3 weeks.
So what, do you have any news of the week you'd like to share? Anything global, local, or personal even?
Not really. I guess some of the 2 big things I texted Cass about before the show that we wanted to go over, we'll probably get to. One of them was, of course, the Mercatus Institute putting out that study on Medicare for All, and their dialogue between that and Bernie Sanders. It's interesting. I don't think either the left or the right, or at least the talking heads on either side, fully, I guess, are grasping what the study said. I mean, they're both trying to take it as a win, and I don't think really either one of them are that right at the end. Of course, if you weren't paying attention, it was the Mercatus Institute, funded by the Koch brothers, that came with a cost analysis of the Medicare for All program over 10 years, and they estimated it at $32 trillion. Urban Institute, about a month before, which was not a Koch brothers thing, it was more of a left-leaning policy institute, but they came up with a very similar number, I think within a couple $100 million. There was, I believe, trying to get the timeline on this correctly, I think yesterday. And yeah, Millie, you're right. Don't worry. We're not going to let the socialists take over. She's screaming from the other room.
It's inevitable, Millie. History's dialectical.
Millie, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Anyway, I think it was 2 days ago. It might have been today. Bernie Sanders came up with he looked at the way medical spending has been per year and applied that over a 10-year basis and found, I guess in his words, that the cost analysis would make it $2 trillion cheaper. A little bit of problems with the way that he reached that conclusion, but also with the way that the Mercatus Center reached their conclusion. There was initial disparity probably about 3 days ago when the study first became mainstream that, I don't know, it was kind of a matter of debate. The Mercatus Center included the fact that there wouldn't be any copays, and Sanders said, well, of course there would be copays. But then the Mercatus Institute fired back with saying, well, you obviously want ours to be modeled on Europe. You talk about it being modeled on European systems all the time, many of which don't have copays. So that was the first initial kind of dispute. And now the dispute is basically Sanders coming forth and saying that it is $2 trillion cheaper, which he's not wrong. A little bit of a caveat with that. That is based on the idea of healthcare right now staying the way that it's at and getting more expensive as it has the past couple of years. If it does that, then it will be $2 trillion.
Well, it will get more expensive, and that's an inevitability of having a market-based system to purchase insurance.
We don't have a market-based system. We'll get more into that. But did I hit on everything factually before we jump into the nitty-gritty?
No, I disagree with your tone, but yeah, no, you're correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, I mean, when you look at a market-based system, which you just said we didn't have, explain.
Well, I guess you could call it a market-based system, and the fact that health insurance definitely is still a market, but it is not. People like to often tag it up to a failure of capitalism and a failure of free enterprise, and healthcare and insurance in large is by far the most heavily regulated industry in the American economy. It is not really an indictment of capitalism or free enterprise. It's more of an indictment of, I guess, an ineffective free enterprise.
That seems to happen a lot.
Being weighed down by, being weighed down by government regulation. It kind of leads to, in my opinion, you can either go one way or the other. If you go in the middle, it's not going to be very effective. Which it doesn't really happen too much in a lot of the other industries. A lot of our other, pretty much every industry. Of course, this is without the tariffs taking effect. I know, Millie, we're sad too. She's sad. Most industries posted a profit, and that's been going on. That's not just through Trump. That's since about 2014. 3% GDP growth. Most industries are doing pretty well with lack of regulation, so to speak, or at least less than what a lot of other people want. I find it, I guess, odd that people like to specifically pick out healthcare as a failure of free enterprise when it's the most regulated industry we have. It seems like that would be almost self-deprecating in a way to pick that as your scapegoat for capitalism. Your thoughts, Cass?
Well, why doesn't the healthcare system work then? It's because insurance companies are able to have so much power. I don't know. This regulation you think that exists that keeps healthcare costs high also is like exactly what the insurance companies want. So if the insurance companies are using our government and our system to prop themselves up, then how is that not what you're describing? What would a free market be?
Well, I guess less regulation, less administrative costs. Part of the reason American healthcare is so expensive without insurance is about 32 to 40% of that. What you're paying for is administrative costs, and administrative costs is explicitly the doctors having to hire people to fill out paperwork and to I don't really know the nuances of it too much, but the administrative cost is almost entirely them having to deal with government paperwork and having to deal with insurance companies as well. So it's both sides.
So instead of paying $12 for nausea medication, we have to pay $600 because we have to hire people to fill out forms?
You don't have to pay that much if you're insured. In other countries, if there wasn't this insurance, it'd probably be close to the same thing without a national health care system.
Well, that's the big misconception, is that Americans believe that what we pay, even without insurance, is what healthcare costs, and it's not. We pay exorbitant amounts because our government can't collectively, what's the word I'm looking for, push back on the healthcare industry, because the healthcare industry is so powerful. In countries with a Medicare for all system or a single payer system or a mandate, the government is able to negotiate with these companies to get lower prices. The United States doesn't have that, so healthcare companies and pharmacies are able to charge exorbitant amounts.
Well, they don't negotiate with they bully the companies.
The companies bully the government.
Well, not really now. I really think a big portion. Well, when you get to we talk about other countries. Other countries are able to do this because other countries have double tax rates. Another thing they were talking about in the Medicare for all cost analysis, the $32 trillion over 10 years. When people say it would be $2 trillion cheaper, when Bernie was talking about that, he's talking about overall. He's not talking about specifically. It would be cheaper for the people because it would be cheaper for all the money to support this. It being $2 trillion overall cheaper would be gathered through taxes. To do this, to do a $32 trillion over 10-year program based on our current GDP, our current budget, you would have to, not even you'd have to, if you doubled both the individual tax rate and the corporate tax rate, it still wouldn't cover it.
That's not true, though, because the study that we're talking about, the Mercow Is that I've been able to
Mercatus.
Mercatus. Is that taking into account what people individually pay? No, it's talking about the nation overall, and it's 18% of our GDP.
No, it's talking. What are you referring to? Are you referring to what
people's out-of-pocket costs? People's out-of-pocket costs for healthcare would go down. Yes, our taxes would go up, but we have a tax system in this country that doesn't tax the right people.
People's out-of-pockets would go down because they're paying that same amount, if not more, in taxes. I mean, it's not really a net gain or a net lose. You're just paying more through taxes, and in turn, making the federal government even bigger.
But we're not paying that much more in taxes. And by we, I don't mean you or me. I mean corporations are paying more.
Well, even if they paid double, it still wouldn't cover it. And if you start charging them double, a lot of those corporations are going to continue moving even more jobs overseas.
They're moving overseas as it is.
I mean, you want to expedite that process? It's a great way to do it.
That's not going to happen. If the country becomes more attractive for business, when a company doesn't have to pay for someone's health care, are you kidding? If you want to talk about administrative costs, if a company doesn't have to have an HR department pick out a healthcare plan, then that's going to save a ton of money.
I guarantee it is cheaper for a corporation to split the cost of a healthcare plan with their employees than it is for them to pay double tax.
Yeah, but it's not cheaper for the employees, and that's what this is about. This is about people who can't afford.
For me, and it's cheaper for a lot of people who have at least halfway decent insurance. I mean, overall, me paying... I did the cost with me on the Affordable Care Act marketplace. It was... I don't know, I was quoted about $150, $200 a month, and then at my current place, for me and my daughter, it's at $93 a month. For the most part, and this is, of course,
that's because Oklahoma didn't accept the subsidies offered by the federal government because Obama bad.
Well, no, I mean, it's not about that. It's just that, well, my workplace isn't based in Oklahoma. I get it through Texas.
But you still are a worker in Oklahoma, so you're. Actually, I'm not sure how that works, but I don't think your insurance comes from Texas. It would come from Oklahoma.
I don't think either of us really know. I actually think we're technically incorporated in Connecticut as well as corporations.
Yeah, but your insurance would still be Oklahoma-based.
I don't think either one of us really knows a lot enough to get into the super nuances of that. I do think, though, that we could talk about a more broader talk about whether this is worth it or not. Where I'm essentially lying on it is, even if the $2 trillion, and of course a lot of outlets are touting this number, that's referring to government being able to, of course, negotiate on a much larger scale. But it wouldn't necessarily save the individual person, most of the middle class, any amount of money. It would probably end up driving up the amount of money, if I don't know by how much.
Let me tell you why that's not the case. We have a problem in this country where people who are uninsured or can't afford to go to the doctor don't. So they don't catch problems early. And a lot of our healthcare costs are caught up in things that, if had been treated earlier, would have had a much less effect and would have cost a lot less. So you... Yeah,
I had read something to that effect. I don't know how many of those numbers... how that would actually weigh at the picture at large, and that might be valid. I do think, though, that if insurance corporations had more mobility, they were able to reach across state lines, if they had less regulations to deal with, if we had an actual market that could compete instead of a market where you could only have pretty much two choices per state, basically creating in-state monopolies.
Those monopolies are created by the insurance companies themselves. I mean, look at cable. It's the same thing. Cable companies have deals with each other. We won't sell here if you don't sell here, and they can raise the prices to whatever they want because they're worried about profit. They're not worried about giving people their product.
That'll draw us into a bigger conversation. Make sure we're still recording. We are of corporatism. It's that corporations will always act in their best self-interest, but the best way that they can preserve themselves, the best way they can benefit themselves is when they use government as a vehicle to do it. Through the FCC, through getting together with the State Board of Health and saying, hey, it's good for the state if there's only two health insurance companies. Without the power of the state, without the absolute power of the state being able to legislate stuff, without the power of the state being able to legislate stuff, they wouldn't have the power to make that happen. They wouldn't be able to help, they wouldn't be able to protect themselves from competition. But since it's the problem of corporate interest using the absolute power of government to get what they want. In an actual free market, that doesn't happen. And of course, I'm going to get into the no true Scotsman of capitalists. We don't live in a
real capitalism has never been tried.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You can go. you can apply that fallacy to either side. But I mean, it's valid, and I've had talks with. I don't really know if they're as far left as you, but some of my friends that will see that point. They will, of course, immediately pivot to the fact that it's inevitable with the capitalist system, and that turns into a whole other debate.
Well, I want to move it away from the cost, and let's just talk about the human cost. The Washington Post released a great article this week talking about how, yes, it's expensive, and I'm not going to pretend it... What's up?
I'm going to go ahead and, for my Trump supporter friends, I know, translation issue, the fake news Amazon owned Jeff Bezos' Washington Post is what he meant to say.
Right. And this Jeff Bezos-owned media released an opinion article called Medicare for All is expensive. That's not the point. You're not looking at the human cost of this. There are people who need insurance, and this has been proven in other countries to be the best way to get it to them. This is about quality of life. This is about the health of your people. This is about the health of your country. And at the end of the day, even if it does cost more, even if our taxes do go up, it's the morally correct thing to do.
I don't know. I feel that if there is a free market situation that would preserve the aspect of choice for people, that I'm very much more of a freedom over everything at the end of the day.
Okay, but then you have healthcare companies who are denying certain types of coverage because there's no oversight, there's no regulation. Obviously, you've got the things like abortion and birth control, which I know part of our audience probably thinks great, insurance companies shouldn't cover that, but then there's other things that they wouldn't cover as well. Maybe they don't cover a certain type of person, maybe they don't cover certain types of surgeries because there's another surgery that's less effective.
Okay, so let me ask this, that's all well and fine. I think we might agree that having people that aren't able to be covered by insurance companies is a great evil, but why are you not arguing for Medicare for those with pre-existing conditions? Why are you arguing for Medicare for all?
Because it doesn't work if it's just Medicare for pre-existing conditions.
Why couldn't you
all
just
have to go in
Medicare
this
Part
together.
D to people with pre-existing conditions?
Because no one's talking about that. No one's going to do that, and this is better.
I don't think it's better. I mean, if you're doing this whole thing for everybody to help out, if you're doing this whole thing for 400 million people to help out 30 million people, it seems like you'd be a lot better served scaling down what you're trying to do to just help those people who are truly affected.
All right, and we tried that. We tried that with Obamacare.
No, you didn't try.
No. Obamacare was okay. Obamacare, first off, is not socialized medicine, so everyone doesn't have to have it.
Individual mandate kind of made it.
Individual mandate. Most people didn't follow, and most people weren't even charged the tax. So
it would have benefited if it hadn't been scrapped going forward.
No, but it started in 2010, and very few people actually had to pay the tax on for not getting health insurance. What it was originally going to do before Lieberman, our favorite representative, gutted it for the sake of freaking centrism. Excuse me, we're going to edit that out. Gutted it for the sake of centrism. Had that. It expanded Medicare. Also, our state chose not to expand Medicare. That was part of it. Our state got to choose, and we chose not to. So no one wants to do that because the whole thing is your side doesn't want to spend any money, and you have to spend money.
That's fine. I just think it's interesting though. If you know you're going up against a side that doesn't want to spend money, why wouldn't you try to make your argument a little bit more feasible?
Because the time of arguing for something middle of the road is over. It's clearly not working. All right.
And this comes to something we were talking about the other day about how you said that the left is becoming more polarized in reaction to the right. I really don't think that's true. We're gonna segue to this in a minute. The left is getting much more polarized than the right. The right is not openly embracing traditionally conservative, like traditionally far right-wing concepts, like super ultra-nationalism, not ultra-nationalism.
We're putting babies in cages that are brown.
Not fascism. Very, very wrong. Small scale. You're not. The left, on the other hand, the Democratic Socialist Party has gone up in membership by 530%. They've now endorsed 45 candidates who will probably win their race.
And that is because the Democratic Party isn't working. The Democratic Party doesn't have ideas.
I won't disagree with you, but you guys are the side that is getting more polarized than we are. And
Good.
Okay.
I'll cop to that. I'll cop to that.
Okay, as long as you can cop to that. All right, and that leads me to another segue. We're going to finally kind of nail this down tonight. We'll put that on the back burner. I'm sure this healthcare debate will rage on more. We'll get Reese to come in and talk about it. But we all know, and I've been saying this since about the beginning, that Cass is just a filthy communist, and we need to figure out if he is actually
filthy communist.
A communist, and I'm just using that colloquially. It's just he's like another leftist. We know he's not a liberal. I wanted to kind of nail down tonight, is Cass more of a National Socialist type, or is he more, and this is what I suspect...
I'm sorry, you said National Socialist?
I meant Democratic Socialist.
Yeah, okay, I'm not a National Socialist.
National Socialist. Cass, I meant Hans Wantwins, National Socialist. No, yeah, is Cass more of a Democrat Socialist, or is Cass more, and I think he's more of an anarcho-communist at the end of the day. I don't think... Cass trusts either corporations or big government really too much at the end of the day.
Let's find out.
Yeah, let's find out. Cass, go ahead and dive into it. Political profile, Cass Wantland.
Oh my gosh, I love it when all the attention's on me. But
I don't hate it.
I don't hate it. I don't hate it. No. This I openly love. I openly love when attention's on me. Well, first I'll describe the things that I'm not. I am not pro-capitalist, so therefore I am not a traditional liberal in the American sense. I am a registered Democrat, but I disagree with most of the party's platform because the party's platform doesn't reconcile the critique of communism that further people to the left have recognized. So I'm certainly not a conservative. I'm not anything even close to being over there. I have some libertarian tendencies in the classical sense. So we can definitely say I'm at the very least a democratic socialist or a socialist or however you want to phrase that.
You really think? Oh, that's interesting because I felt you, and this is of course just me being an observer.
Yeah, by all means.
I don't think you are trusting of any big groups. That's just kind of always been my thought. I think you believe in the democratic process, but I think you have a knee-jerk reaction, it seems, to not trust groups in power. You're very much, when it comes to local, don't vote for the incumbent. Like I just...
Right. Well, that's the problem that you've seen with a lot of government systems around the world, that when people say communist or socialist, what do we immediately think of? Soviet Union, Communist China, North Korea, Cuba, Venezuela, and these are not great places. And that's because there's not a power system governed by the people. It is totalitarian, it is establishmentist, it doesn't allow for turnover, it's not democratic. Democracy is so important if you want to go forward with any sort of socialist form. Because at the end of the day, the government, if I say I like the government, it's because at its core, the government is, or at least should be, the people. That's why I really like the American system, believe it or not. I think having people, giving them a direct vote and allowing representatives to represent the people works. I mean, it's the most fair. It creates, fairness. So I just wish that people understood the power of their vote, people understood the power of their voice, and people understood the power of their actions. And I don't mean boycotting Starbucks, and I don't mean boycotting Chick-fil-A. I mean talking to people. I mean direct action. I mean taking advantage of the tools you have. So people are the most powerful as an individual, but when they collectivize, they become even more powerful. It's just important that we don't focus on an individual or even a small group of individuals, and even if we do have that small group or an individual, they don't stay in office for very long. Okay. So I'm definitely the democratic part of the democratic socialist.
Okay, interesting.
So
I guess we don't have to harp on it for too long, but do you want to, in your words, and if you're not comfortable with this, that's fine.
No, by all means.
Go ahead and explain what you see as the difference between socialism and an ideologically pure communism.
Well, ideologically pure communism,
like Marxism,
is a complete culture shift. It's a spiritual shift. It's a human shift. The problem is you have to look at it as a process. Marx didn't think at any point that communism just happened overnight. That was never his point. And that's why he even said that Russia would be a terrible place to start the communist revolution, because they went from feudalism to communism, they skipped capitalism, they skipped socialism, and they went straight to trying to be communist, and that doesn't work. You have to go through steps. He saw communism as people recognizing the failures of capitalism, and that didn't happen in Russia. They went straight there. That's why I think it's worked well in Northern European countries. They've gone through the process. They've gone through the steps. They've historically moved forward. History is a measure of the progress of humanity, and humanity, if you're optimistic, is always progressing. There are hiccups, the pendulum swings back and forth, but that pendulum is still on a fixed thing going forward. So, socialism is it's a tool. It's something that a government can do. Our roads are socialist. Our schools are public. Our post office is, government owned. It's by the people. But the government itself is not socialist. It allows for tremendous private enterprise on things that shouldn't be private enterprise, such as healthcare. But if it were to be idealistically pure communism, and I'm not a scholar of this, I'm very much a...
Here's your disclaimer.
That's my disclaimer, yeah. So I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of communists say, like, hey, you got it all wrong, which is great. Tell me more.
Yep, message us. Come on the show.
Absolutely. More leftists, please. I'm all alone up here. I'll
have to do that at your house. I don't want them here.
You wouldn't want them here. They wouldn't want to be here. You have art telling them not to be here. It's... One is a system of government. One is a tool the government can use to achieve certain things.
Your words are making her cry.
I know. But she's just getting woke. It's a hard process.
She's gonna be just gun toting and free market espousing and beautiful. I'm gonna love her.
No, she will be one of those things. That's for sure.
No, yeah, she will be both of them, and I will keep her safe from people like Cass and their insidious words.
Seize the means, Millie. Seize the means.
She'll seize the people that are seizing the means. There we go.
So you've been doing this podcast with me for a while. You know me. We've had private conversations. What do you think I am?
I think that you are a person who finds meaning in a struggle. I think
you've met my dad, so you know it's genetic.
Yeah, I think you. I think you have a keen sense of identifying injustices. I don't always agree with where you take to how far you go to resolve them, but I think, and I'm very much this way as well. Oh, poor Millie. Bookmark that dot. She's sleepy.
Poor girl.
I think, and we're on opposite sides of the coin in how we approach this, but I think we're similar in the fact that we find almost spiritual validation in fighting a good fight.
That's fair.
Yeah, I see you as someone who became informed, someone who started to care, and then someone who wanted to become not necessarily a revolutionary per se, but someone who really wanted to affect change. I don't know. That's how I feel about you. When I look at you, it doesn't matter how short your facial hair is. I just see that Mark's beard. I just see you staring at me, those dark eyes. I look at your face, and I mean, you're not the skinniest guy, but I look at your face and I see hunger. I see the hunger of millions of people in your face.
You should see me when I wear a green military jacket and smoke a cigar. Yeah. I look purely Cuban. Like I'm standing next to Shea and Fidel, fighting the Batistas.
I can see that.
Yeah.
You aren't super tan, but I could see the Cuban if you dress the part.
I've been told that before. This is highly inappropriate, but it's funny. I've been told before that if I tanned, I would look Cuban. I don't know what that means, but you're not the first person to suggest it.
It's probably like dark. You have darker hair, not dark hair, but darker hair. You grow facial hair well.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. They seize the...
And not Latin, not Hispanic, not Mexican, Cuban. Which is really weird, but there it is. I'm putting it out there.
No, that's fine. Would you live in Miami comfortably?
Oh my gosh, are you kidding? It's paradise.
Oh, yeah.
The food, the sun, the heat, the beautiful people, the burgeoning art scene, the dancing, the culture. I mean, that's literally the land of my people. I mean...
I think the land of... Which people are you referring to?
Any of them.
Okay.
I mean,
I'm more waspy, so I think Tampa is more our scene. I think you're.
Well, we'll both meet in Orlando.
Oh, yeah,
so
we'll meet in Orlando.
yeah.
We'll enjoy. We'll get on the Hulk together. We'll ride the Hulk. Good stuff. Love the state of Florida. Actually, one of my sisters is going down to Florida to do the Disney College.
Yeah, Florida gets a bad rap. Florida's incredible. It is so much fun. It is beautiful. It rains a little bit each day, but not too much. Everything's green all the time. Yeah, Florida's great, and the people are crazy, but that's what makes it so charming. You can have anything you want culturally in Florida. You can get the South. You can have you can be a Yankee. You can be whatever you want.
Yeah, I kind of see it as it's the place where both the Deep South and the northeastern especially Guido type people decided to come down and take a vacation together, and it's just fun watching them interact.
And you've got there's a huge young population and a huge old population.
Yeah, it's so funny because there's nothing in the middle in Florida. There's not there's not like a 40-year-old set of parents raising a family. That doesn't exist in Florida.
No, and if they're retirees, otherwise they're liars.
There are retirees, and then there are
young childless couples.
Yeah, there's retirees, and then there's the cast of Queer Eye. That's all there is down in Florida. It's truly a marvelous place.
And not new Queer Eye, not the fun, nice people. Old mean, bitchy Queer Eye.
yeah. The mean ones.
The mean ones. Yeah.
Well, let's pivot. Let's do something a little bit more fun. First off, let's start here. Let's go ahead just for a couple minutes, and I'll wave you when you've been going too long. You might have lots of opinions about this. New Queer Eye, fan or not?
Oh, big fan.
Big fan?
Yeah, I mean it's extremely charming. I love a good makeover show, and I really love a good house makeover show. And Bobby, the guy who does the house bits, is really good at it.
I just want to kiss her real quick. Keep going.
Okay, so. It came out. I watched it because I felt compelled to because culture, and I was really surprised with how much I liked it. I didn't particularly care for the old one. I'm not a huge reality TV show fan, and I think a lot of it's saccharine, and they're not actually I don't know. There's a lot more. You can't change your life in a week, but it's giving people hope. It shows them that change is possible, and it's really nice for people to know that they need to cut their hair and trim their beard, which I think is 90% of the guys on that show's problem. No one's cutting their beard correctly. Most of you probably have a beard and shouldn't.
I probably shouldn't have.
One thing I will take offense to, though, there's this thing that they promote on the show called a French tuck. Tan, he's the fashion guru, and he says, a French tuck will make you look skinnier. It doesn't. That's a bold-faced lie. A French tuck is when you tuck in the front of your shirt and not the rest of it. Yeah. And as a husky man, no, that's not true.
It just makes your belly more pronounced.
It makes your belly more pronounced. And I don't know if it's because he's doing fat skinny people or skinny fat people or whatever, but no, that is a bold-faced lie. No, it's a good group of guys. They really seem to like each other. They seem to be having a lot of fun, and it's a very positive show, and I think that's really good right now. And it tries to tackle heavy issues that I don't think it's well equipped to handle, but it does them with good faith. So I think that's really admirable at the very least. So yeah, I'm a fan. How about yourself? Have you seen it?
I have not.
Of course not.
I watched a little bit of the older one back in the day. My buddy Andrew, just it was like me, played golf, played basketball, just super straight. Loved Queer Eye for the Straight Guy. Loved the old one. Loved the old one because they were mean to the people. He loved that. It was funny. I go over to his house and I'd be like, "What are you watching?" He's like, "I'm watching Queer Eye. Have a seat." And this was the house where I tried my first beer, my first cigarette and stuff when I was 16. He was the one who had the parents that were just like, "Whatever, do what you want."
Yeah, no, I know. We all have that friend.
Yeah, he was great.
That's hysterical.
Yeah,
it's completely different from the old show. It's fun to marathon and. But the best episode is the one where they make over this trans man, and it's just so
female to male?
Trans man. So they were assigned female at birth.
So female to male, yeah.
Yeah, female to male. Yeah, just want to be extra clear on that.
Yeah.
I was reading an interview with the person who it was, and I can't remember his name, but it was the guy they made over, and one line they cut from the episode. Okay, this blows my mind. One of the one of the gurus, Tan, the fashion guy, told everyone that he had never met a trans person before, which I find absolutely ludicrous.
I live in Oklahoma. I've met a bunch of trans people.
Yeah, of course you have.
It's baffling.
It's baffling that someone in the community who worked to get to a show called Queer Eye that has been like a foundation of the early 2000s gay community. But anyway, regardless, but there was a line they cut from the show where he said that I'm the only trans person that you know you've met. And I just thought that was a really powerful thing that should have been kept in the show. And but that was a great episode. I recommend everyone to watch it. You get great insight into some of the struggles that trans people face in this country. And I was talking about this the other day with my partner, and we're not, we are white, cis, gay men. We are reasonably attractive. We're certainly not rich.
Can confirm.
Oh, thank you.
More for him than you, but yeah.
Sweet, and he would appreciate that. But we have obviously had problems. It's not great living in Oklahoma, but we feel comfortable enough to exist. And and that's not for everyone in Oklahoma.
We
not
haven't
speaking
gotten there
for
with the trans community yet.
No, the trans community needs your help. They need your support, and it's great to see them represented fairly on television. And so this show does a great job of that. There's a great episode they do with this religious woman whose son left the church, and the woman is actually the candidate on that one. Occasionally they do women, while I didn't agree with the episode's premise, and I won't get into specifics, but it showed how some religious communities can do a lot of harm to queer individuals, but it's also a lot of queer people in America are extremely religious, and they find a lot of solace in that. And the show tries, and I don't think it always succeeds, but it tries to show that at the end of the day, we're all the same, and that's kind of a watered-down version of their moral. But sometimes it's successful, sometimes it's not, but it's, watch it and, open your mind. Because it's not a makeover show like the old one was. It's more like House Hunters, but it's more personal. Not House Hunters, what's Extreme Makeover Home Edition? It's like that. It makes you feel things and you'll cry. So, yeah, I'm a fan.
That's interesting. And it's interesting you brought up the trans community in Oklahoma, because where I work, which will still remain nameless, but some people may be able to identify by what I've been able to say, it is a mid to large size tech company, and it is one of the only employers in the Southwest and South that will pay for a large portion of gender reassignment surgery. So there are a lot of transgender individuals who work where I do. It's almost like you're not even in Oklahoma. It's very odd. Hold on one second, Cass. Go ahead and just... we haven't talked about it yet. I got to go talk to my old roommate for just a second, but it wouldn't be an episode with Cass if we weren't talking about RC Cola.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I want to tell you about the fizzy beverage that gets the job done. You think I'm talking about Coke? You think I'm talking about Pepsi? No. I'm talking about the one, the only Royal Crown Cola. Royal Crown Cola is the only choice if you want the sweetness of Pepsi and the crisp tartness of Coca-Cola. It's got it all. It's great for mixing, it's great for drinking on a hot day, and if you really want to spice it up, get Diet RC if you're watching your figure. And let's not forget that RC also goes great with a moon pie. That old classic tradition, RC Cola and moon pie. That's where it's at, ladies and gentlemen. You can take an RC and put it in ice cream. You heard of a Coke float? Nah, that's the thing of the past. Go back a little deeper into the South, get an RC, mix it with some vanilla ice cream, and you've got yourself a sweet, sweet, cold summer treat. RC Cola, the one, the only. It gives you what you crave. It quenches your thirst and does so much more. I am stretching this out a lot longer than I had to. And you know what? Here comes Chandler. And we're back.
Yeah, Chandler is back. He had to talk to old roommate Ryan for a second. Ryan was just had pure joy on his face hearing RC Cola being described in such wonderful terms. RC...
because he's a discerning man who knows the true value of a caramel-flavored beverage.
Yeah. RC Cola, haven't Coke and Pepsi done enough to
They've
America?
done too much to America.
It's gone too long. It's gone on too long.
Yeah, no, the monopolistic oligarchy that Coke and Pepsi has inflicted on the United States is over. It's time for a revolution. Oh, no, I'm talking about something else now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, just sometimes, I mean, two things will compete, and then a better thing comes along. You had, and for the longest time, from like the 40s to about the 80s, you had Adidas and Puma just going after it in the sneaker market. And they went after it in Europe, they went after it in America, they went after it all over the world. And finally, Nike just came in like, I'm better than all of you. Wear me. And RC Cola is like that. RC's like, I am better than you, Coke. I'm better than you, Pepsi. I'm not going to get into the struggle. Drink me. I'm better.
It is better.
Yeah.
RC, Royal Crown.
Yeah, if you're a person who likes to mix your drinks, I used to mix drinks a lot more often than I do now, but RC is so much better to mix with. Pepsi is not sweet enough. Coke is too sweet. RC is perfect.
I disagree with that. I think Pepsi's sweeter.
Yeah, we got into that.
We got into that. No, you're weird.
No, you're weird.
Pepsi is known as the sweeter cola.
I don't. Everyone I've talked to does not agree with that.
Everyone I've talked to does not agree with that.
Well, yeah, we're in different communities. Also, you're Catholic, so Catholics think that.
Our taste buds are genetically different. Tell you what, next episode, I'm bringing all three. We're doing a blind taste test.
We are going to do perfect.
Absolutely. You, me, Reese are going to settle it once and for all.
We are. I think we're all going to agree that RC is the best, but we're going to have to.
We all know that RC is the best.
Yeah, not think. It's no. It's no. It's funny. Where do you land on Dr. Pepper?
Dr. Pepper is too sweet for me, but I like it occasionally. This is going to sound weird. My dad he's an attorney, and he had a secretary, and she loved Dr. Pepper, so he kept Dr. Pepper in his office, and I would grab one that hadn't been in the fridge just because I wanted something to drink. It's really good warm.
That is interesting.
That is really weird, yeah. It kind of cuts the sweetness. But yeah, Dr. Pepper's fine. It's not my favorite. I choose it maybe once a year.
It's kind of the beverage of the state, it almost feels
It is definitely the beverage of this state and Texas and honestly probably the South. But it's sweet. It's got more complex flavor than Coke or Pepsi. It's not as challenging as RC, though. And I mean that in the best possible way.
If you're really looking for some complexity, if your palate is just bored and it needs something to tingle it a little bit, I mean, you want your sweet and your sour spots that just haven't been tested in a while. RC will do all of it for you.
Where do you stand on Dr. Pepper?
I really like Dr. Pepper. I grew up drinking it. Of course, my whole family pretty much loves Dr. Pepper.
Oklahoma staple.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We didn't buy RC a lot growing up, but we didn't really buy Coke growing up. It was mostly Dr. Pepper or Sprite. But then whenever I got my car and I started driving around, when I would go to like the OnQ or if you're a Tulsa heathen, a Quick Trip.
Oh my gosh, are we going to have to yell about OnQ versus Quick Trip?
Well, there's a right answer. I mean,
Quick Trip is the right answer.
There's an older, more run down, makes weird, been out for 5-hour pizza version, and that's Quick Trip.
Quick Trip is the only form of good capitalism, my friend. It is a... no one likes 7-Eleven or OnQ better than Quick Trip.
Yeah, people who live here do. And Buc-ee's is better than both of them.
I've never been to Buc-ee's.
You have never been to Buc-ee's?
No, what's Buc-ee's?
Buc-ee's is like in Texas, and it's a little bit bigger than either one of them. And they sell like a bunch of jerky and nuts, as well as they have the pizza and like the froyo bar. But like they have a sign in Oklahoma. If you're going down I-35, you'll see it. It's like in between Oklahoma City and Norman that says 197 miles to the nearest Buc-ee's.
That's hysterical.
They put a sign in Oklahoma telling you, "Hey, head to Buc-ee's."
That is passive aggressive.
Yeah.
I like wonderful.
Buc-ee's a lot, but yeah, no.
No, I'll fight you about Quick Trip. You're absolutely wrong.
You're wrong. Quick Trip is not as good.
Incorrect.
We can at least say they're both better than Come and Go.
Yes,
I don't know what 75-year-old woman has never been on the internet started that company, but you don't spell Come and Go K-U-M and go. You don't do the U-M. You just don't.
It was a mistake, and someone I hope was fired for it. But then they printed all their ad space, so they had to go with it. It's literally disgusting. I am literally disgusted.
Episode on
different gas station chains. I'm there for it.
You know, in Colorado, there's one that it's everywhere. We started noticing it when we went to Pueblo a couple years ago. Loaf and Jug is what it's called. It's called
that
Loaf
is
and
the
Jug.
best name for a convenience store.
A jug of milk. Loaf and Jug is what it's called. I thought it was just bizarre.
That is wonderful.
And they explained to me like a loaf of bread. If you want to go get a loaf of bread,
I will say what's underrated. Love's.
Love's is underrated.
I never go to Love's. Really?
Yes.
I didn't know it was our biggest.
Yes.
I knew it was.
It's close.
More powerful. Yeah.
Yes. Love's is the biggest. Yeah. Love's is great. Love's has got a lot of stuff. I like the Love's that have the Godfather's Pizza over the Love's that have the Subways.
See, whenever I go to Love's, I'm always excited because I can get a Subway sandwich. I've never actually had Godfather's Pizza.
Really, it's good.
Really, yeah.
It's good. Herman Cain was their CEO.
999.
999. God, we miss him. R.I.P. Wait, he's still alive.
Still R.I.P. Still R.I.P.
Still R.I.P. Yeah, no, Love's is great. Love's got... There's a cool one when you go down the Arbuckle Mountains that has the largest rose rock formation in the world. Have you seen that one?
I'm familiar with it. I haven't been there, but
yeah,
that's really great.
It's like a display case like this big, and I'm holding my arms about 6 feet.
It's preposterously large.
Yeah, it's huge.
Now, why is the rose rock special? You want to tell our audience?
I don't really know much about the rose rock, other than it's like a rock that forms in like the little petals and like shape of a rose. I don't really know much about it.
It's beautiful.
It's our state rock.
It's our state rock. There you go.
Yeah.
You hit the nail on the head. You hit the nail on the cup. You hit the hammer on the nail of the head.
I hit the pickaxe on the rock.
There's some colloquialism that I got wrong just then. But, Rose Rock is the official state rock of Oklahoma. And we chose well.
We did. It's a great rock.
It's great.
I don't think we chose great on a lot of other things. State flower is mistletoe, which is technically a parasite, not
it's
a
a
flower.
fungus, yeah, but
Not great.
Isn't that kind of cool?
It's all right. I mean, it makes it Christmas all the time, which I don't really care for. I couldn't be a who. Scissor-tail flycatcher, a decent bird. I mean, a lot of people pick like stupid birds, like 30 states all picked like the mockingbird.
Yeah, at least ours is unique.
Yeah, at least
because I
ours
can
is
easily see us picking the mockingbird.
Oh yeah.
Well, because we picked milk as our state drink, and that's like every state's state drink.
We picked milk as our state.
Milk is our state drink.
Well, you talked about our state meals, like ridiculous too, right?
Oh yeah, no, you die.
So, yeah.
You die. Well, that's why every once a week in public school you get chicken fried steak, mashed potatoes and gravy, green beans, and a roll.
Why?
Yeah, I'm assuming.
That's it.
That's what they always told us.
I remember that from getting lunches. That was all. I never knew why, but that was every week.
Yeah. I don't know if it's, like that's just everywhere and I just think it's an Oklahoma thing, but that they serve you our state meal. It's got everything but okra.
Oh, okra's so good.
Oh my gosh, there's nothing better than fried okra. And
is so good.
It's so easy to mess up, but when it's good, it's the best.
Local chain, I'm not really a big chain person, but I love me a local chain. Earl's. You eat Earl's?
No, I've never
Barbecue
been to Earl's.
Palace?
Oh my gosh, absolutely. That's fantastic.
They have some of the best okra, man. Oh,
absolutely, they do. If you want a different take on okra, and I'm going to pronounce this wrong, but there's a place on 23rd Street called Coyotes. It's like coyotes. Coyotes. They have.
I got the ethnic thing pronounced right. Yeah, they're also a rooftop bar. That's why I first.
Oh, it's a great place.
Oh, awesome.
It's a lot of fun.
It's about 2 miles north of the jail if you're looking to go.
Yeah.
That's how I had it described to me, and I found it no problem. I mean, it's definitely a different part of town, but it's great. They have a real nice rooftop patio bar.
They have something that I don't like what it's called because it sounds like a racial slur, but it's called Oklahoma.
That's awesome, though.
Well, it's a great name. It's also a terrible name, but it is delicious. It is their take on fried okra, and it's just a little spicier.
Talk to me about it.
Well, they fry it, but they don't bread it heavily. But it's so good, and it's the whole okra. It's not chopped up.
Oh, okay. So it's like the whole. Okay.
Yeah, it's the whole thing, and they give you plenty of it when you order it. And I ordered that with a side of their specialty mashed potatoes, and that was a perfect meal, and that was just 2 sides.
Well, next time I go there,
get their okra. Get their Oklahoma.
I'll have some Oklahoma to sober me up. It'll be nice.
Very nice.
Don't drink and drive. Unless you can... No, never. I was going to add a caveat. Never drink and drive. We do not support that.
But never drink and drive.
Never
drink and drive.
Never drink and drive.
Uber and drink. I mean, don't be the Uber driver. Drink and then call an Uber.
I really, and I've been drinking so much less. I almost hardly drink at all since I had my daughter. Maybe I've probably had a drink since I've started watching her full time, it's 5 to 10 times, and that's always on a weekend when I don't have her. But I promise you, once she is more grown up and probably teenage years, and once self-driving cars are a thing, I don't know what is going to stop me from being just drunk all the time.
There's nothing to stop you. No, we're going to live in a beautiful, drunken Elon Musk future. And I'm going to hate it on principle, but I'm going to be having a great time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's going to be great. Well, we're going to wrap it up about 53-minute mark, 54-minute mark.
Good God.
Yeah, no, we had a natural conversation. We hadn't seen each other in a couple weeks.
No, this was good.
To get off of our chest.
For sure. I feel better. Also, much, much worse.
Yeah.
And, this was good.
Well, we'll come back at you next Monday. I'm still going to get the one with Reese up. As of this moment, I've not edited it yet.
Send your thoughts and prayers to Reese. He's still taking care of his girlfriend.
Yeah, she's sweet. She loves Millie. We're going to try and bring Millie by to see her in the next couple days. But we are going to probably try and go for Monday, and I'm going to, hopefully by then, watch Ant-Man and the Wasp so we can talk about it.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, you're going to love it. It's great. It's good romp.
Oh, I look forward to it. Well, thanks for listening, everyone, and we are out.
Later.